Hello everyone, I'm Jack. I'm head of content and also performance, which is an important part here at Vita. So right, I'll crack on with it because I haven't got much time. This is the rather gobby, I thought, tagline that I'll be back use. But I wonder, has it ever really been used to test or target an audience before? So I'm going to do like a fairly normal thing, which is perhaps embarrassingly, but you'll get over it. Put your hands in the air if you've ever heard of machine learning. It's everyone, isn't it? Yeah? Anyone? Yeah? Everyone? Yeah, that's great. Okay, so well done, because actually only 9% of people in the UK have also heard of machine learning, according to a recent survey. So put your hands down if you trust machines. Keep your hands in the air. Keep your hands down, that was a key point. If you trust machines to make your job better. If you trust machines, then if you don't trust them, keep your hand in the air. I'm not sure I do, my hand's still up personally. So hands down if you believe that AI is likely to make your job less complicated. Less complicated. In the next couple of years, maybe. Okay, so people, hands in the air. If you've still got your hand in the air, and I've done this right, and I realise there may have been some errors, but if you've still got your hand in the air, then I'm suggesting that you believe that it's possible that AI could add some form of complication to your career. Now, hands in the air crew, there's a few people with their hands still up, thank you very much. I've actually found my target audience, so everyone else you can go home. So brilliant, we're done. What I'm going to say, hopefully, is that what we've got, hands in the air crew, is an opportunity to embrace change now. So everyone's working in advertising, and it's time to embrace change with a new age of new ideas, materials, there are new tools to master. So this talk is about how the tools and the roles and responsibilities in creative advertising might change in the next 5 years or so. So I want to talk about three things. I'm going to make it quick. The problem with old school advertising, which is a term that I have called the tyranny of averages. The opportunity that we all have to improve the world around us, and then thirdly, how we can all make a difference. So this is hands up or hands down, everyone's involved. So, for an industry that talks a lot about creativity and innovation and the future, I think the traditions of advertising are still rooted very much in the past. Everyone recognises this as being an ad, despite the fact it was made in, the 1920s. The processes of planning, creating, distributing advertising haven't changed a huge amount. 50s creative teams were made by DDB. In the 60s, JWT started the planning revolution, and that sort of set the trend, and that's kind of how it's been. And we're sort of still kind of churning out various versions of this kind of advertising. And what's happening now is that those foundations, the planning and the creative, those foundations face major disruption. Stock, Klaxon. This is a lady, she may be looking at stock photography on an iPad in some kind of meta advertising nightmare. But the point is that culture is evolving, and it's technology that's driving that change, and it's empowering audiences with the opportunity to ignore ads, to swipe ads, to use ad blockers. Everyone knows all this shtick about how people ignore advertising more and more and more, and that's because they are given choice. Netflix, for example, great choice, no ads. Streaming games, great choice, maybe. Matt loves it. You can enjoy streaming games and not have to worry too much about advertising. And so most people are afforded the opportunity now, thanks to technology, to ignore ads. And this change in culture has shone a light on what has always been one of advertising's biggest problems. And this is a concept that I've termed, for the sake of this talk, the tyranny of averages. So the tyranny of averages is a statistical term which suggests that more weight is given to the mean or average, and therefore sometimes the average of things is deemed to be the most preferable. Average is best, average is good. So, for example, most people like Elton John, let's pick him. Most people like generic stories, let's do another one. And you get the picture. What it means is that most adverts are created in order to be palatable to most people most of the time, And the result is what we see in the world around us. The world is covered with adverts. Creative is awarded for being particularly good at being average. And therefore, yeah, the world is covered in ads, and personally, it's not a world that I think improves as a result of the tyranny of averages. The world is covered in advertising, and it's something that I personally don't like. I don't work in advertising because I like the effect that it has on the built world around us, and it's something that I want to change. And I'm hoping actually that the people in this room and the people around us, we are the ones with the opportunity to make some kind of impact and change the world a little bit. Not in a big way, advertising won't change the world, but we can change the parts of the world that advertising interrupts. I'm not alone, Kenny. 75% of executives say AI will be actively implemented in 2020. $153 billion is the AI and robotics market by 2020. So this is a big change that's coming, and it's driven by industry and market forces. And I think there's an opportunity for advertising and the people in this room. And one of the opportunities lies in how we automate production processes so that we can deliver quality creative faster, at greater scale, and then feed that creative to AI media buying. That's the, digital media will be bought and sold by AI and machine learning. And so this is a really interesting, exciting time, but it's not without its challenges. So how do we capitalise on this opportunity? So, well, that shouldn't be there. Good. So nice to think about the line for a bit. Are you going down the line, or is someone who's going so yeah, that's advertising, strategy, creative, account management, in-house production, out-house production, and then media, all kinds of media going on in there, but that's the process of advertising. And the things that are going to change it are the cogs. So things that are coming in are the prevalence of data, but particularly for creative advertising, we're in a creative agency, is audience data. People, what do they like, what do they don't like? Whether it's online, whether it's offline, how can we find out information about them so that we can understand them better, their need states, what they're interested in, how they behave. And then also media AI, it's much faster, works much better. You can get 1,000 different people running biddable media in a room, and a good AI, some are available, there are going to be more, can buy and sell and trade that media much better than people. And so that creates some problems. Creative automation, how do you feed enough creative into that AI to be able to serve it properly? So these are some of the cogs that are driving change, and the way that I think some of the structures and processes of creative advertising will change as a result is, first of all, you've got less roles. That doesn't mean less jobs. It does mean less roles and different responsibilities and a broader set of skills for most people who work in advertising. So we've got agile strategy. So creative strategy that changes, it's not set, it changes in response to data. Agile creative, that changes in response to media insight, what performs best, how does it work, what should we change, and it changes all the time, it's not set in a linear way anymore. And an agile approach to production, so automation is absolutely key to that. How can we create, adapt, change in volume and scale and speed in order to serve this agile approach to media, which can now push out content for audiences in a much more effective way. This is the last big slide. So here is kind of audience data, automation and AI powering evolving customer experiences. So if you imagine you're a person in the street, you get targeted with what we call in advertising brand awareness content. Let's imagine that that's now much more personalised to your interest, and it changes all the time. Perhaps it's about your favourite football team and maybe your favourite player scored last week. Suddenly the advertising from that brand is going to be about your favourite player, because they know they're trying to reach you on your terms about your interest. You're interested in football, we're trying to meet you halfway. We're working much harder on your behalf to serve your interests in the hope that you may pay attention to us in the quagmire of content that's already out there. And then in the consideration phase, once we've got you on the hook, we know we've got you on the hook, so we're going to serve you some assets which are more about stuff that you're interested in, but also start to introduce the brand, why it's useful, how you're going to use it. And then the conversion assets, we know we've got you on the hook because we can see that you've seen this different kind of content, and now we're pushing you assets which are more specifically about the purchase that hopefully we've now given you the intent to make. So the point is that we can make advertising better for audiences, clients and the world around us, but the question is how agile is everyone to take opportunity, this jump through that window of opportunity. But I think there is actually real incentive to be more agile. There is a chance to bring an end to the tyranny of averages. This man symbolises everyone who sees advertising. 69% of people do not trust advertising. 69% of people in Britain don't trust brand advertising. So we're doing it wrong. And it needs to change. And it needs to work harder on behalf of audiences, putting their interests first. Because there's a chance to prove that if we put audiences first, if we show them how we can make their data serve their interests first, and how we can make the brands work harder on behalf of their interests, then there's an opportunity to create and deliver much more useful advertising that makes purchases, that signposts paths to purchase that people actually are interested in making. So over time, maybe people could start to look at some brands in a new way, judging them not on best use of Elton John, but instead on which ones understand their true interests and needs best. So that those ones that are going to get it right, those brands, are going to reap big rewards, and those that can't can't embrace change, will fail as fewer businesses serve more customers through better use of information and technology. So this is the slide that I kind of dream of, where we might get to. This is the point where out-of-home advertising is deemed to be so ineffective that it is now given over for public art, and we can turn places like Times Square in New York into a more interesting environment to be in. Maybe this not one's particularly to your taste, it's a bit garish, but you know, there are lots of hipsters across Shoreditch for whom this is a utopia. So we're in Shoreditch, and so I asked you to think of them tonight, and thank you very much.